Okay. Yeah. So later after that, we'll send you the recording. Yeah. Okay. So which one would you like to dive in first?
I would think just talk through my observation sheet or transcript would be good. Would be a good start. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Ken, so far, do you have any questions with regard to your recordings or your competencies? Any questions on those?
Yeah, questions on my competencies, definitely.
Mhm.
um, I maybe I just give you my own observations on how I performed, apart from what was officially recorded in the observation sheet. Yeah, definitely I felt very incompetent. Uh, um, Maybe I also explained to you that we had problems finding a proper place to record. That's why when you hear the recording, it's just too too open aired, and was muffled most times.
Mm.
So we were already quite bothered not finding. I felt the mindset was not there already. So both of us were a bit affected in a way, She because we actually walked around and around the place, sat down one place, chased away, that kind of thing. So we couldn't switch our minds so fast.
Mm.
So if you really listen to the recording, I say it as gap fillers, but actually we were just trying to adjust the environment, and it took us at least about close to 4 to 5 minutes before we could settle down, and then we could talk a bit deeper. And so that was for me as a coach, and I felt that I could have adjusted faster, or maybe just start recording a bit later. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? So
Mm.
that was something I felt I could do.
Mm.
Uh, and that was very clear in the number of repeats or wrong questions or misunderstanding of the agreement. That was how I felt. That's the one. The second thing I felt was that I kept asking about the what, you know, and couldn't dive into the why even before I could even look at the who, looking at that process. So I think that's something I have to work on, because I feel that I can't go straight into the why without understanding the what, or how much of the what should I stop at, That's all. So I felt I was repeating the question again and again for almost a good 8 to 10 minutes, yeah, and I felt didn't feel good about that, and didn't know how to get around that. Yeah, that's two. Um, and thirdly, it was actually the client herself who said that she was not comfortable being recorded, period. So that was actually from the tenor of her voice, you could hear that she was a little high pitched, and that kind of that stretching kind of voice, and fighting with the din around her. So it wasn't ideal, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
So that's a good experience because this will help prepare you for your recording towards your ACC. The good news for ACC, you just need to prepare one recording. So yeah, that's the good news for when you're ready for the submission. So if anytime from today to the time we meet in June, you want to prepare that one recording well. The recommendation usually I recommend people to use Zoom to kind of record. So you are on one side, the other clients on the other side,
Mm,
and probably get them to use like a. I mean, if they're using the laptop mic, it's not an issue, but then somewhere that's quiet so that they can capture the voice. Yeah,
mm,
audio quality is not too much of a big issue as long as it's audible, it's clear, it's not too breaky. Some people has poor internet connections, so end up you have like interruptions in the internet,
mm,
cutting off the audio. So when that happens, then you probably need to do a re-record for that session. Yeah. So ideally, it's a clean recording with a good enough audio that don't have to be very crystal clear audio, but just good enough, and with both parties very clear. Now, if you find a person who has a very similar vocal tone with you, then you might want to choose someone with not so similar, not so close. I mean, Jeannie is quite different from your tone, so it's okay. Right? Because sometimes I realize some people have rather similar tone, and if that happens, the assessors might not be able to differentiate who's speaking on what, especially when you speak overlap. So that can be a challenge. So try it out with different clients if you get a chance, or different coaches if you get a chance, to kind of get a little bit more variety. Yeah. So recommended is usually like anytime from now to our next session together. You try to at least record maybe 4, 5, or 6 sessions, and then you choose one of those sessions that you want to kind of transcribe, and then aim towards being able to fulfill all the competency markers in those sessions as well.
I thought Jeannie's one was the final submission.
This is for this the mentoring ma. But you
Yes.
have one that you need to prepare one for your ICF ACC. Of course, this one cannot go ICF ACC lah. This one you go there, they'll ask you to redo.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
then because the last thing you want is, let's say they reply you and say, oh Sandra, we need you to kind of redo, then you got to wait another like 2 3 months within the process. So yeah, usually I always tell people, okay, so in the second session where we meet together, try to prepare one that you, as if you're going to submit. First it must pass you lah. That means you go through the recording and you feel, hey, I think this recording fulfills all this, and I think I've demonstrated enough evidence for it. And then okay, then let's go to then let's prepare towards it. In fact, on the YouTube channel, I have several examples of the coaching demo. So if you need some guide and follow closely, those are ACC and above level, so you can follow those.
Is that the one you sent over the WhatsApp chat this morning? Oh.
Oh, no, the WhatsApp chat this morning is coaching lessons. Yeah,
Okay.
it's on the YouTube on the YouTube channel. But on the YouTube channel, you can find those coaching demos as well. It's titled as coaching demo, so you can kind of go through if you need some reference. Otherwise, it's always recommended to kind of like practice with different variety of clients, because sometimes maybe you are all prepared, but the client's mental state of mind is not there with you,
Hmm.
um, and or maybe they got some mind block during that day, and they might not be able to go all out with you.
Okay.
Mm.
Mhm.
So okay, I'm here's some of the challenge that you face. So that's why it's good you have. I got two of our friends here who later you will go and do live with them. Okay, so later I'm gonna get you to try out one with B, try out one with Celeste, and I'm gonna get Celeste to try out with B. Then you hear and see the we focus on the first portion, like the what, why, and who, kind of like get it right. Oftentimes when this is right, then when you go deeper in the conversation flow, it's easier and the outcome becomes much easier. If the first part kind of messy, right, then you find that, hey, I kind of lost. I don't know where the client really wants to take. Yeah. So usually if the first part is kind of right, the rest will flow kind of nicely, all in all. Hmm.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, so good. So let's take a look first at your um let me do this. We're gonna show, can you see this too?
Yes, I can.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna look side by side for both of them. And let's take a look at first what is important here in the competency number one. So here, thank you for coming for the session today. Are you all right if we record this session? So this one, it's if you recall in our class, I often say that this this is more of a acknowledgement and a kind of a playback than a asking for permission. So why? Because technically you would have already had a formative coaching agreement with the client to say this is the role of a coach, that's the role of the client, and then this is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to be like. So this kind of phrasing would have already been said before you start press the record.
Mm.
Now, once you press the record, what then should you say? Okay, so this is what you should say. Okay, so you just need to say, "Hi, Ginny. Thank you for allowing me to record this session for the purpose of my ICF credentialing."
Okay.
Okay. That's all, because it's an acknowledgement that okay, that before this you had kind of like an agreement with the client to say that, and then of course the client's response is of course yes, no problem, yeah. So rather than today, are you all right that we record the session? There's nothing wrong with this, but a better way to kind of phrase it is just thank you for allowing me. So this will allow the assessors to know that okay, there was a formative session that you had with the client, and you guys kind of already had set in place certain formative boundaries, and right now you're just acknowledging and thanking and then going on. Yeah. So this is the first thing you said up front, and that's it. That's the only thing you say. Then you dive in straight to the issues for today.
Right. Okay. So acknowledgement, not permission. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, acknowledgement. Permission will be have done before. That means like prior to this 0.01 second, before you start recording the you may have a pre-session, chemistry session that you, or maybe a formative session that you kind of like set out the ground rules and let the client know that in my sessions I'll be recording, blah blah blah, and yeah, then in the session when you press record, thank you for allowing me to record this session, or you can say thank you once again for allowing me to record this session for the purpose of my ICF credentialing. Then the client
Right.
responds as yes. So kind of like usually before you start the recording, I'll kind of prepare the client and just tell the client, hey, Mr. Client, this session I'll be recording for my credentialing purposes. And at the start, this is what I'm going to say. Then all you need to do is to respond, just say yes before we proceed.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the big reasons why it's because in the Western part of the world, they're very, very big on this ethics and privacy and whether the client has given you verbal, explicit uh, explicit approval and kind of arrangement for you to be able to record a session. So they're kind of like a bit more sensitive than in Asia.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So when I was like speaking at Slovenia, there was like, oh, okay, we need to verify that everybody here they don't screenshot the thing, we don't da 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 da, the whole long list of things. So the European nations are kind of like very hard up to this ethics, cannot screenshot, cannot voice record, cannot do anything. So okay, and I noticed that there's one here that you had a question.
Precisely because it was not an acknowledgement, so it was a permission. So therefore, I wanted to say, yeah, not every coach will understand the meaning of what this is all about. So either more explanation first, or at this point in time, I mean, precisely because it seems like a permission. So what if they don't give you the permission? Then so
Yeah,
exactly the point. Yeah.
correct, correct. Yeah. So that therefore then the client is not the coachee for you to record with. That means you can still do a coaching session, but that would not be a recording. So usually the recommended is that if you do peer coaching with your peers in class or maybe outside of class, um, before you do the recording, kind of preempt them, let them know that you'll be doing this for your accreditation purpose. And if you're pairing with a coach to do the recording, then you remind the coach to not help you.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
because
mm,
sometimes let's say if you ask, because they are coaches, right? So they can anticipate the question that you're going to ask them, so
yeah.
they might go ahead of you to answer. Then end up you're not it doesn't demonstrate that you were able to coach the person through the process, rather than the coach was just self coaching themselves to get the answer. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
So okay, not too bad. Okay, so the good thing is that competency number two is not assessed directly; it's assessed through the rest of the other competencies. Okay, so let's take a look at here and with this. Okay, so how do you think you fare at the coaching agreement?
Oh, that was the adjustment part for me. I don't think I even heard her correctly. Um, so she looking at 018 on the transcript. She wanted to know if she should take up coaching, explore it further, and also take up NLP as part of it. That is good. That means to her, the coaching process would be coaching, credentialing would be coaching, go further in plus NLP. But I got it as an either or,
Hmm.
and and I just went round and round. I just couldn't quite firm that up, and she had to explain. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So as in 041, as in, I believe NLP is part of coaching. I mean, I should have known better,
Hmm.
but I didn't seem to know that it was that understanding or the equation she had. I kept thinking it was either coaching A or B in that sense. So that didn't help also until 104, which I forgot, 045 and 104, So you want to take coaching, and also, didn't you say NLP also? I mean, I I could sense that, oh, yeah, like, didn't I tell you that earlier? That kind of tone. So I felt that I didn't establish the agreement outcome even properly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good insight for yourself to realize that, hey, okay, maybe there's something that I need to kind of work on um to better narrow down and to better frame the session. So in the coaching process, right? Do you write down any notes, or do you do any
Um, I not on the first half, but answer is no, not at this, not at that point in time. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I should have, but I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the key things, especially when I have a video on what notes to take in the coaching session, and that's on YouTube. So you
Mm.
can watch that as well, because that video will show you what we can't be writing every single thing. So usually I tell coaches, you, you cannot be writing every single thing that the client says. So there are a few key things that oftentimes I say to kind of note down. It's quite a long video, so about 20 minutes only. Um, but in essence, the key things are things like the coaching agreement, what the client really wants to work on, the measure success, what are some of the keywords, key phrases the client's saying, what are some of the key ideas and thoughts that the client is on, that you want to kind of circle back later on, right? Or sometimes maybe the conversation is leading through a certain pathway, and you might want to come back to that conversation. But at this moment, the client wants to focus on something else. So then that's where you capture these things. In the notes itself, you don't really need to capture any content. To me, the content is not so critical. What if you want to capture are those key important phrases, keywords that kind of help us to stimulate the conversation further.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, so let's dive deeper into it here, and I mean the starting is okay. How can I help you today? It's basically the same question is asking what would you want to focus on today? How would you like to begin today's session? There are many ways to say this opening sentence, right? So the client says this: I'm going to explore if I should take up coaching, as in explore it further, and also take up NLP as part of it. So you are talking whether you're thinking whether you should pick up coaching or NLP. Did I get it right? As in, I believe NLP is part of coaching. So I think, okay. So here, I know you're trying to do what here. This is an example of reconfirmation. Yeah. So there are two parts to the what. Okay. So here, what's very important. So when you do remember the outcome, right? That's the OMG. So the outcome first. So this is the outcome that you want. What's the outcome? Or sometimes I will say this is the session outcome. Okay. So what we want to hear for is this um, something doable in a 30-minute time frame that we can achieve, right? If you hear the client says, well, I want to be a master NLP coach, I want to be a market, then that scope is really too broad, too big, right? Maybe it may take them few years to get there. But if they say, okay, I want to explore, thinking between taking this or taking that, thinking between this or that, maybe having some clarity and blah blah blah, then that's what you can do. Right? So here's the first thing you want to do is what we call sessional what. So and this part here, it's what we call the identification. Um, of what the client really wants. So whether the client really wants that or not. So here you see, I'm going to explore if I should take up coaching as in and also take up NLP part of it. Now, the trick to kind of go deeper here, it's to not so quickly reconfirm the thing, because we have not heard enough to kind of know exactly what the client wants. She's just basically saying a sentence here. Okay, and usually one of the tricks you can do is just say this sentence: tell me more. That's it. Tell me more. Well, that's interesting. Tell me more about that, right? To kind of get more info from the client, because in fact the client didn't answer your question. Yeah, she just said, if I should take up coaching, as in explore it further, and also there isn't really sufficient information for you to make an evaluation or reconfirmation. So before usually we look at reconfirmation, we will try to figure out a way to kind of get more, right? To tell more, so we can kind of get deeper into what the client is really looking for. Is she looking for clarity? Is she looking for um, a decision to make, or is she looking for pros and cons, or is she looking for something else? What exactly she's really looking for, or is she looking for some missing piece? So these are the different elements that we kind of want to figure out in the tell me more portion, right? So one of a very simple trick is that if let's say at the start you kind of hazy, blurry, don't know what the client's saying, just ask them, hey, that's thank you for sharing that. Tell me more about your thoughts around this. Yeah. So it appears to the client that you're listening, when in fact I have no idea what the client is saying, but never mind, right? I want the client articulate. So usually, right, the principle is that most of the time when a client don't know what they are, or most of the time when a client say something, let's say you ask them what they want to look at, whatever they say up front, the first few minutes, first few seconds, oftentimes they're still processing. So usually I don't take them at point blank, whatever they say. Yeah, because most people are not very, very clear with what they really want. Because if they were very clear what they want, they would have kind of like gotten it, they would kind of resolve it, right? So this is the process of sometimes what we call verbal reflection. The client is saying and they're thinking about what they just said, saying and thinking what they just said. So um, at the start, if I kind of stuck, I use some of these tricks. I just say, hey, tell me more. Oh, I love that. And so why do I do this? Okay, so when I say tell me more, I'm actually supporting the client, building trust and safety. Now, if I add a little bit more things, okay, I could even enhance this sentence a little bit more. I could say, hey, wow, um, okay. You could also say that that sounds interesting. Okay, tell me more, or whichever, right? So you can use a supporting phrase or prefix kind of thing to kind of set up for the tell me more, to really show that you are hearing the client and really supporting the client in expression. Then after that, let the client express a little bit more before reconfirming. Now, even in the reconfirmation, sometimes I'm just looking at what's the key thing here. What's the key thing that the client is really looking? What's the keyword or key phrase the client is looking for? Because here is I should take up. Okay, so this is, I mean, if we're just taking it from whatever she has here, this is what we are seeing. If I should take up. So if I got you right, you're thinking if you should take up, then that's it, right? If you should take up, right? And yeah, and then leave it as that. Okay, so now how do I know when you are actually processing in your mind and when you are actually listening and tuning to the client? It's when we reflect the way the client is using the phrase. So for example, right, you use the word you should pick up coaching, but the client's in the client's way of interpreting it, I should take up. So to demonstrate what we call reflective inquiry or reflecting back to the clients, you can just use whether you should take up coaching or NLP, or is it part of it, right? So now, suppose you're confused with the client. There's also an alternative. Okay, so I hear you, um, and I am hearing several elements over there. Okay, please help me. Yes, help me to understand a bit more, then is it so something like this. So you could do something like that. Let's say you're really lost, you do not know what the client is actually saying, right? Sometimes you say no head, no tail, don't know what the client is saying. Then you could say something like this: I hear you, I'm hearing several elements over there. Please help me understand a little bit more. Is this what you're asking, or is there something else, right? Just allowing the client to kind of add in, right? Okay, so question so far.
I'm just absorbing, and um, I am surprised that rather, I'm discovering that the keyword is not even coaching or explore further and then also take up NLP. Keyword is I should take up, so it is something that she wants to consider deep. And then I should look at maybe it is not the element of coaching, is why she wants to take up and how she wants to go about it. And I think that would have been a lead on. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, that's the start of the conversation, and then really kind of explore more. So how do we know, right? Like, okay, from the way you are asking questions here, see, so you are talking whether you are thinking whether, or so you want to know whether. So you notice how there's a tendency of the coach using so you. Yeah. So the great thing about transcript is that you can kind of like find your own little habits, little pattern. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you look at it, it gives you option, right? Maybe what happens is that in the coaching process, maybe in your own notebook, or when you enter the coaching conversation, then I'll put there, just be mindful of the word so, right?
Mm.
So yeah, um, now what can
Actually, there was multiple you-knows from both client and myself. I have eradicated at least, about 20 to 25 you-knows, you know. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, so there are several ways to kind of overcome that. Well, of course, one is really deliberately in your trainings that you do, in your speaking that you do, that you're conscious. That means, let's say you put a post-it here or something there, okay, you or so, right? It kind of like because it's a habit, so it's not going to come away just like this just by coaching people, right? It forms part of your language patterns of your daily life. So this one would then need for you to integrate it with your kind of daily life to if you want to work on, but nothing wrong with it at this stage. If you use so it's still okay, right? So you will not be penalized for that kind of things. Yeah. Only thing is that say sometimes certain people have certain phrases that might sound a little bit more judgmental, you know, like so. If the assessor here is like the tone of it, it might sound like, oh, wow, this
Don't
person,
you know?
like very 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 serious, very very hard on the person, yeah. So so right, okay. Now let's take a look at a little bit more in this. So you want to know at the end of the session, am I right whether you should pursue coaching? Oh, yeah, yeah. Did you not say NLP just now? Yes. So now here is this is an evidence of, let's say, in your questioning approach. Okay, this questioning approach, it's more of a I call this the investigator uh, style of questioning. Okay, so really much like, okay, did you not say that? I thought you were saying that just now. Something like very very investigative. One of the things that we try to do maybe in the coaching conversation is to really make it more of a rather than investigator, really inquirer, yeah, style. So tell me more about, so this is how I would probably phrase it, something like this, huh? Okay, so oh, that's wonderful. Okay, I okay, so okay, so if I remembered earlier, you mentioned about NLP as well. And I'm wondering if that is still something you would like to explore today. Yeah. So something like this. So the reason we say this is to kind of like help the client to see whether help the client to create their own connection. Help the client create their own connection, whether what they are what they said earlier and what they're discovering now, is there any connection? Do they want to change? Do they want to modify? Or is there something more that they would like to do? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. And then let's see here. Yes, I did. I want to pursue coaching. Could you explain specifically maybe what really interests you in coaching? Uh, Yeah. So you see here the questioning here. How do you arrive at this question for yourself? Could you explain specifically maybe what this coaching is, and how do you think coaching fits in? Did somebody introduce you to NLP, and is coaching an interest for you? Okay, so this line of questioning is what we call uh, on a superficial questioning, because we've not gone in deeper yet, right? It's still very much around the idea or the logical level of what even the word, even the question, although the question is how do you arrive at this, it's still a what level question, which is still at the higher level of the NLP coaching communication skills, we have not really gone into the motivation. So usually when we look at this in the first few minutes, I want to figure out what is the motivation behind this. Why did the client come to me with this issue today? Why is this issue bugging the client today, right? What is the client believing in themselves that they need to resolve to kind of get out of this ambivalent state? Yeah, so these are the several elements that I kind of like want to see in it. Now, at ACC level, if you ask these questions, no worries. It's still okay to ask such questions, right? So, but if you want to enhance much more, then of course we want to dive in deeper into the deeper layers of the motivation and what really inspired the person. Okay, so
The question, Jedi, but I mean, this is the early part of the coaching session.
mhm.
Um, Not that I have a framework of what time should do what. I'm just saying that it's still very early. Do we need to go into the why so fast?
Oh,
And
it's not
what
about going to the why so fast. It's about whether how do we allocate our time in a given setting well. So if you have 30 minutes, right, with the client, or maybe you have 45 minutes in a coaching conversation, how would you like to distribute your time? How would you like to dive deeper? How would you like to allocate time for more inner inquiry or content inquiry? So what the inquiry here so far is being that's being asked, it's really much on the content of what the client is thinking and everything. So these are the things that the client already knows, right? So in the coaching process, are we asking questions that the client already knows, or are we asking questions to kind of evoke the awareness? So if you remember in the class where I draw the four quadrants, remember, what is known to the client, not known to me, is the hidden things to the coach. So most coaches they will ask questions like that to kind of unravel the hidden things, but the client already knows this, right? So what you want to try to move towards is that in a line of questioning that helps the client to kind of evoke deeper sense of awareness of maybe perhaps conscious, unconscious things that they are aware or not aware of, to really help them to bring to light. So it can be also the unconscious unknown at the what level. So if I want to do this at the what level, I can still stay at the what level, but I will ask questions along the lines where it's not really for me to know more, but really for the client to know more. Right? Of course, it can kind of like balance with the different sets of questions to kind of go deeper. Yeah.
okay, got you.
Yep. Okay. So see for example, this question at 225, this question doesn't. So usually the principle is I always ask coaches, I ask them one question: does the question help you and help the client to move the conversation forward, or move the conversation toward the outcome, or is the question just mainly exploring where they are now, right? So for example, right, did someone introduce NLP? This question doesn't really help the client to move forward. So what if we know it's Geong or this one or whichever, but it doesn't really uh, push the thing, unless this question is because the client was describing someone that inspired them, or maybe the client was describing something that before that, and you calibrated that, you realize that there is a pattern. Whenever the person got inspired by someone, the person will kind of go. When the person, but okay, so then that's relevant. But in this case, this question seems to come at a point that's a little bit uh, disjointed from the conversation in front, right? See, the client says, "So I felt that NLP is a very interesting concept to use that can really help in coaching in the coaching process." So then I'll think about the natural question. What would be a natural question that follows after nicely following from that comment from the client, right? Do I ask him, did someone introduce you to NLP, or do I probe in deeper into why is NLP an interesting concept, or what about NLP that the client has experienced before that helped them to create this realization that was interesting, right? So the trigger here, as we look at the client's comment, was this: a very interesting concept. So something somehow in the client's world just created a neural connection between NLP. very interesting concept. There's some meaning that she's given to herself. So that's when we probably want to see whether it is uh, uh, whether this is an area the client really wants to go in, or how strong this connection is, or maybe the client thought that the thing that was demonstrated was NLP, but maybe it was something else. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting concept. Yeah. 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 I think I was totally off there, and I was just finding questions to ask. Yeah. So I think if I had explored interesting concept, I would be able to draw out what is it in the NLP that intrigued her, and from there we can see her motivation. Right? Is that what you mean?
Mhm. Yeah. So there are a few layers here. One is NLP in relation to interesting concept. Another thing is this interesting concept in relation to coaching process.
Yeah.
Right. So how would applying an interesting concept help you in the coaching process to help your client to achieve the outcome? Yeah. So there are two ways you can kind of like explore in relation to NLP, explore in relation to the application of the interesting concept in the coaching.
Mm, mm. Okay.
So
Wow.
that's when I will kind of like put down my notes down. Like let's say sometimes if I draw lines and everything, then that's when I'll begin to process. Hey, okay, I could ask this question like this. I could ask that question like that. So either way, it doesn't really matter. But it's to decide on one pathway that can really generate more thoughts in the client's world.
Mm. Okay. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. See, this is another example where this question doesn't really do much for the conversation because you say, is coaching really an interest for you to pursue? So the, the
Like
client
the
came to you,
birth.
yeah,
Yeah.
the client came to you with wanting to work on coaching already. So yeah, then of course the client will say, oh, of course it is. So this doesn't add value to it. But what this tells me is that probably from the coach perspective, the coach is trying to think about where should I go, what else should I ask, right? So this becomes like a filler question.
Mm. I think it was part of adjustments to actually it was my mind was blank. I just asked whatever. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So one of the things that you want to try to do is usually I tell coaches who are beginning their journey or kind of like preparing for their credentialing, it's to kind of do a one pager, your own cheat sheet, your own one page cheat sheet, with maybe prompts, flow prompts or question prompts. So sometimes because maybe our brain sometimes got jam, so,
Yeah.
so sometimes we need some of these things to kind of help us to recall or sometimes to kind of refocus back. Because sometimes in the conversation, maybe the conversation really resonates so much with you and you got distracted by the client's story. So then that's when here will be very, very important.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah.
Okay, so why so? Then how do you think the coaching is going to bring you and what okay what if so if it benefits what it would mean to you, what would that mean to you? Okay, so that you did ask a few questions about if it benefits them what it would mean to you, if the game most is what it mean to you, so it's trying to find connection for the client. um
That is still not the Y level, right? Or still
yeah,
pot.
that's just I mean this is still very much on uh finding the finding the reasons for that particular task. So if you look at it from the sequence, so
Mhm.
benefits, skills, okay, what would it mean if you get the benefits? What would it mean you get the skills? It will mean this, it will mean that. Okay, what will all this mean for you? Or it means something else. But the higher order question has not been asked, which is like, why is this topic or why is this particular outcome important for you? Why is getting that clarity important for you? The clarity of choosing whether to go and explore NLP in terms of NLP application in your coaching important for you. So in essence, it's about going deeper in terms of the why of the outcome than the why of the subject. So in the coaching agreement, you have the outcome, which is the session outcome. When we ask the why question, we ask the level of importance for the outcome. Why is this outcome important for you? So this why here, it's the content why, right? The benefit why, the skills why. Nothing wrong with this why here, but it's just that this why is not the outcome why, right? So you have the outcome why, you have the content wise. These are the content wise. Mm.
Okay.
Yep. So one way to just review, just there's a simple way just to modify this, right? So suppose you're able to, what would it mean for you if you're able to achieve this outcome today?
Hmm.
Yeah. Why is working on this important for us today, right? So why would working on this area important for us today? So there are several ways you can ask that, but specifically in relation to the outcome, right? So when we think about the why questioning, it's the why of the outcome. Of course, later on you ask the why of that purpose, the needs, the values, and everything. That's the later part. But in the initial first 5 minutes, is really about the why of the outcome, right? Why this outcome so critical for you? Uh, why today mentor coaching so important for you? Why not let's postpone until you're more ready? Why not let's do this, right? So so when we ask the word why, I'm watching and I'm looking for that calibrated state of the client. I'm looking and see whether they are resonating with that idea and concept. I'm also looking at whether there is that motivation and that drive towards that as well.
I thought that was took me a long while, like like a lot more would it mean to you? But at 6:10, was it 6:10? Just if you could go up. Yeah, 6:10. Would that be a tiny breakthrough already?
So I believe I will be happy to see them, come to a realization of their own potential because we're all busy with our daily BAU. Know what can we do more? Yeah, so with them unleashing the potential, we could probably do more than just the daily BAU. Okay, so uh, this is okay. Um, this you see, you ask a question, but what would it mean for you personally? Was she answering your question?
I think that is why I couldn't get it, and I asked at 7:16.
So she didn't answer your question straight away, right? Because the question was quite a lot of things. I'm hearing you this, and sometimes I would just like to ask a very simple things like why is this important for you? Okay, so rather than what would it mean for you personally, um, the brain cannot kind of like create a connection to meaning to me before importance.
Mm.
I give you an example. Let's say we want to eat ice cream for breakfast. Okay, and we tell our little kids in the morning, tell daddy, mommy, what would it mean for you if you can eat ice cream? The cognitive jump is too much. They cannot it's, yes, I know, I get fulfilled, I get the aha, the revelation, but so the intermediary stage is usually oh, why do you want to have ice cream in the morning for breakfast, right? Why is having ice cream in the morning so important for you, especially it's the first day of the or first thing, the first meal of the day? So before going to the meaning of it, now of course, then we can ask, what would it mean for you if you're able to accomplish this? What would it mean for you? What would it mean for you? Now, in meaning for you, there's two parts. What would it mean for your situation in this moment? What would it mean for you personally as an individual?
Mm. Mm.
Okay, so that is an area here where you can think about. Now, again, if you ask this question, what would it mean for you personally? At ACC level, it's still okay. But if you want to score, have a higher scoring, then um, how do I know that the client kind of not answering a question because of the way she answered here, right? So she couldn't really understand what you were trying to ask her, even though your question meant for her to answer that way, but the client was not answering that. So um, then you mentioned that. So, do you think that NLP would actually enhance coaching if this is the case? So, you see, notice that the style of questioning, it's here is again investigative, right? Where do you think that will really help you enhance? you know,
Mm.
that kind of line of questioning, and yeah. So you when you look at your transcript, you want to try to do this activity. This is what I make a lot of the coaches do. It's a very painful but very useful thing to do, which is look at the questions that you ask here. Now, if you got the chance to go back in time to redo it, same client, same situation, how would you have asked this question that you put here? This is how I would have asked the question. Yeah. So you also mentioned blah blah blah. So do you think that NLP will actually enhance coaching? Blah blah. Okay. So how would I have asked this? How would I have asked this based on the client's response above? Right. So that's when you practice and kind of practice a few different ways of asking. Okay. So I'm just wondering, you have a heart for people, to benefit them and so on. What is really important for you? If you would help them, what would it mean for you? So okay, here it's an example where you have a stack questioning. Okay, basically there are several questions in that one question. What is really important for you? And if you were to help them, what would it really mean for you exactly? Yeah. So too many questions in one question. Yeah, it's then the client will probably only answer one of those questions. That's why the client answer to help people, because the clients do not know whether she's answering you what you want to hear, right? So usually the evidence of whether the question is stimulating the conversation or the question is more transactional is the evidence from the client's response. When the client responds something like this to help people, um, it shows that the clients uh, when the client is receiving that communication from the coach, it's really more directive or transactional. Yeah. So tell me about this. So it's very more like teacher based, very more instructor based. How you gonna do it? How you gonna do it? So um, from this, we know that the conversational flow and the dance is not established enough yet for the client to just so the beauty of the conversation will feel that as I talk you are talking, as I talk you're talking. It's like there's a little play. There isn't a force that is like impeding us. There isn't like a barrier, but it feels so natural. The flow state, it feels so natural. Yeah. Now also another word to kind of to be careful of, it's like words like what would it mean for you exactly. Okay, so it could just be what would it mean for you, just keeping it open.
Okay.
Yeah. So why 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 put exactly or why not put exactly? Well, because the client has not said anything about it yet. Now I would probably use exact for you exactly if the client, if I ask the question, if I ask this question, what would it mean for you, and the client blah 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 for 1 minute 2 minutes, and I ask again, the client's to blah blah blah, never answer the question. Then I ask the client, okay, Mr. Client, now I'm hearing several things here, but what would it mean for you exactly? Yeah,
Mm.
then that's when it's appropriate for me to ask this, because I've attempted to ask that what would it mean, what would it mean, but the client is still not getting anywhere. Then when I ask you what exactly that, what do you mean by this? Then that question or that questioning approach then makes more sense.
Would it, is it, I'm just saying rhetorically and more like just to defend, not so much to defend, but more like I think precisely I didn't get the correct answer what it would mean for her personally. So I guess I was going round and round. What would it mean to you? What I mean personally, and then what do you mean for you exactly? But you're right. It does sound, yeah. It doesn't sound right there. But the key point I hear is that I have not asked the importance for the client, and because importance should come before real meaning. Is that
Mhm.
what you mean? Yeah?
Yes, yes. Yeah,
And I was
usually,
beating around the bush, basically.
right. Usually importance come before like what does it mean to you? Like, because if I ask you like what does life mean to you? It's too big a philosophical jump, like in a normal conversation. But whereas if I ask you, okay, why is life important for you? Okay, why is relationship important for you? Now that first, before I go into what does it mean for you, then it's easier for the mind to kind of slowly explore. Yeah,
Mm.
like if I tell you what's your life purpose, it's sometimes it's like, huh?
Uh-huh.
It's way too high up there. That's not what everybody think every single day. So usually there's an intermediary stage of questioning that we kind of expand and further. So but at ACC level, it's okay. It's okay to do that, but just to enhance the way you go about questioning to really go deeper, then that's okay. Yeah. So okay. Now, so for the first, usually what we see, right, is the first few minutes whether that there is some evidence of it. Now, question for you: was the outcome for the session clear up to this point, up to minute 8?
Not absolutely.
Not absolutely, yeah. So we don't really see the a very clear
Mm.
what we call very clear outcome, right? So usually at about minute five, if it's a 30-minute conversation or 30 to 45-minute conversation, if it's at about minute five and I'm still not getting the outcome, then I'll probably spend the next 2 3 minutes try to really narrow down the outcome for the session. Because if I reach 10 minutes, that means I'm one third into my conversation and I've not yet established the outcome, right? Because I want to spend enough time to go dive deeper with the client to really explore different facets. So usually the like in class we always say, okay, uh, we need to plan out the time that we have with the client so that it becomes more effective in the conversation flow. Hmm. Okay. So far, any questions?
Um, no, I could see a lot of flaws in all the questioning, but and I couldn't understand why I couldn't see where I was heading. You know what I mean? I knew something was not right, but I also didn't know what was not right. And I think you nailed it to say that actually the outcome was not spelled out. So therefore, I didn't know what direction to take. Just keep asking her the what and then derive perhaps something. And I thought that the least I could do is to ask for the meaning.
Hmm.
And at the point of meaning, as long as she found that there was motivation for her, I thought I could pick that up already. But again, that's not an outcome. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm. I don't know what I was going.
Oh, it's a good first attempt. So that's why I say one of the things to try to do. It's you can try to practice more different segments of it. So let's say during your training opportunities as well, you want to be able to maybe use certain segments in your trainings to really pick it up. Like let's say you're doing your digital marketing training. Then one of the things to try is, okay, can I ask questions? Can I practice asking questions in a way that is open enough, not too narrow for them, and then let them find a connection for themselves to kind of practice that. Or with your own clients, your own private clients, where you're doing coaching with them, can I ask questions to kind of expand more, to kind of like narrow it down, to kind of go further and go deeper with the client.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay, so very nice. Now I've just sent you this observation sheet. It's to help you prepare for your uh, ACC. It's similar to the one that you're already using for your ACSTH. So usually in the first session, for all the coaches that I do with, I will send them this one and to run them through how to guide, how to help them guide themselves, right? So it's quite explanatory, where we have all these things here. So here you have a few things here to kind of guide you to kind of think about your preparation, right? For example, coaching agreement, right? Have you helped the client identify what they want to work on? Have you helped identify the measure of success? And are you attending to the client's agenda throughout the whole conversation? So these are just helping points. Now again, it doesn't mean that you do all this means you have full marks or whichever. These are so don't use this as a checklist, but use this as a way to facilitate the learning and as for own personal reflection, right? So use this as a way when you record the session, reflect and then put them inside these boxes and say, hey, have I demonstrated this enough, right? So for example, let's say, have I shown genuine concern for client and support client and self-expression? Now, where have I done it? Have I done that? Right? Or is my question just me asking, but never really affirm them, never really acknowledge their feelings, never really acknowledge their effort. So sometimes I say the client, in maybe midway through, the client really struggle and finally got the breakthrough. Now, sometimes coaches just continue asking, but they never acknowledge the moment, right? So this is where we acknowledge the moment. Say, hey, Mr. Client, wow, I noticed a little shift in you there, right? I notice as you're sharing this, I notice that there's new hope that's rising up from within, right? I'm sensing a little more freedom within you. I'm feeling a little more ease within you, right? Oh, thanks so much for sharing that. I know it's not easy to share that. So this kind of phrasing to really show that you're supporting a client, whether they are in a down state, up state, or maybe kind of feeling a bit lost, right? Say, you know, I may not know what you're feeling right now because I'm sensing that you're kind of feeling a bit of loss. You want to do this, you want to do that, but I'm here. I'm here supporting you through this expression. let's see what we can get out of this session, right?
Mm.
So supporting them in their expression here. Then attuning to the client's perception, learning styles, and personal being at the basic level. So what does this mean is basically how the client tends to learn. Is the client someone who needs to talk it out to kind of learn? Is the client someone who needs to visualize? Is the client someone who has a certain perception of themselves? Maybe they always see themselves, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't. So that's the client's perception. So are we attuned to that? Are we using that to help the client to create more awareness? Yeah. Then coach demonstrates an ability to provide ongoing support for new behaviors. Now, this is where if you notice new behaviors change, the client is demonstrating new behaviors, new actions, that's when you begin to change, right? So same thing for presence. You can read through this whole thing, right? Listens actively and evokes awareness, and also client's growth. Now all this is also explained in our 8 competency videos. You can watch those 8 competency videos. It's on the YouTube channel, and also the coaching demo where we demonstrated all this in the coaching session. Okay, so good. Now, since we have a little bit time, I want you to try this out. So I brought in 2 person to kind of get you to try to uh, have a go at it, and then we have some live feedback. Okay, okay. So B, you can choose. You want B or Celeste to be your first one.
Whoever, whoever,
Turn on the camera so she'll be the first.
whoever wants to be A, whoever wants to be A, because I B or C. I'm kidding. Yes.
Or B, B.
Okay.
B. You're still mute.
You're muted.
I say if you, since you say B or C, right?
Okay.
Go first lah.
What we'll do, okay, I'm gonna let Sandra try it out, okay? So to really help her to see whether she can, just a few minutes, maybe 4 minutes, not too long. We just want to hear the outcome. Okay, the outcome.
Okay.
Yeah, just the outcome. Okay, so we have a go at it with B, and then you just start off like this. And now, so what you do is try to practice at the start, like B. Once again, thank you for allowing me to record this session. Just as if you're doing it, then going into the outcome, the what, then a little bit of the why. Then if you can do a little bit of measure success, and do you want 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes? Then I time. Time.
Let's just try. Okay.
Okay,
So
so
I'm the coach.
I have your time, okay? So I have your time, so you have, let me set the alarm. You have 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes kind of explore the client. And what we want to do, okay, so in your own notes, you can type in the chat box here on your own notes, wherever it is, you can type, so as you're coaching her, you can just start and say, okay, so the outcome that B wants is, and the why she wants it is, okay, so something like this, right? Then measures our success. Okay. Then we will get Celeste to do together with you. Okay, so Celeste is going to listen as well. So later on, after the 5 minutes up, I'm going to get you to share what was B's outcome, the why, and the measures, and of course a little bit of the who the client is. And then later we're going to see Celeste's observation, where you actually listen to your discussion with me as well, what she heard, what she was observing. Okay, then we can kind of compare both.
Will
Okay.
do. Right.
Are you ready? Okay, so I'm gonna start the timer, okay? Okay, whenever ready, you can start.
Thank you, B, for coming to this session, and thank you so much for agreeing to be recorded for the purpose of ICF credentialing. Right. B, is there anything that you want to focus on today?
Good morning. There's one thing that I have been on my mind since somehow or other like around March. Okay. Then it was just a thought okay, because I'm back to the coaching environment again. Actually, I stopped after my ACC. When I got my ACC in October, then I went to work. So then so March, then I'm sort of coming back to doing practice, and then in the process of practice, I ask myself these questions: what is the purpose? So I guess my goal is to go further and attain my PCC.
Mm.
And then somehow or other, the things just happened by its own. So April, my work was stopped. Okay,
Mm.
the company there's a new structuring of the company. So boss say, okay, go back. You stay at home first and do the work from home. Okay, so now I got more time. So then I say, then I come back again. When do I want to do my PCC?
Mm.
And then after that, the COVID comes in May. So I'm deciding, do I want to do it by end of this year or give me more time to do it by next March, since I started in March. So give me a year, not to hurry myself, just to go through the process, just doing for the sake of doing lah. So I'm now in this question of when do I want to complete my PCC? Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, glad to hear your motivation to want to work on PCC. Why am I? Why is this PCC important for you at this point in time?
Uh, I mean, PCC itself is not important. I don't need the PCC to have to get work. Okay, but I have this passion, or I would say that I love coaching, because coaching to me is actually daily conversation.
Mm.
They aligns with me very well. So every day I'm doing conversation with people, especially if I do have some official work. So it helps me in uh, getting clear about why people are coming to me and what could I actually assist them in a more specific way. Because I don't like to waste time. I like to go to the point. Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, going for PCC credentialing is, first is I'm a Singaporean. In Singapore, you need papers. Okay, so that piece of proper education will just give me some evidence that I've been through a proper training. I mean, I don't like to call myself a coach when I don't go through proper training. That's how I feel it lah. That's my belief lah. Yes.
Mm. Sorry, let me just get this back right again. Just now you were saying you want to know whether you should decide to do the PCC. Am I hearing you right on this?
I think I have decided that I'm going for PCC credentialing. Yes.
And so what what would apart from the fact that you said that Singapore is needs paper, and you feel that you would be good for you as a professional to be certified, right? What would be important for you to um, wait, let me just get this right. Okay, can I start all over again? I don't think I got the outcome right. Yeah.
Can start all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do a
I
little bit.
think that the outcome, because she's already decided. And PCC is not important to her. So I caught that she wanted to decide whether she wants to go. So
So,
I
so you
can't
went too
quite
fast now into the why she wants
why.
why is PC important to you, right? So she was just talking about the sharing with you that she's thinking whether go PCC. So you could stay there first to kind of explore a little bit more, like what exactly she really wants out of this conversation with you, right? Before then diving into the why is PCC important. So before going down too quickly, then you probably want to explore a little bit more about uh the issue that she's really facing on the inside. What is the real issue? Because up to now we have not really hear what is that thing that she really would like out of the 30-minute conversation or 5 minutes. So suppose let's fix it to a 30-minute conversation. So now you try again with her and you see whether you kind of like narrow down to an outcome that the client wants.
Okay, so maybe just I share. I think I mentioned what I want to do for the session. I want to know when, because I say I have this. I mean, I actually share a little what they call it information about how this started.
Yeah.
So that was basic information. I think I remember I saying that I want to know when, because initially I was thinking by end of the year. Then I said I think maybe by next March. So my focus for this session is actually when do I want to do my PCC?
Mm.
Yeah.
I think I missed that because I heard whether you should decide. So decide, and then the next time here's actually you already decided. Then I think I was stumped. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
sometimes you can ask the client to repeat, right? So let's say you maybe you misheard or whatever. So you say, hey, okay, B, thanks so much for sharing. Let me see if I heard correctly. What I'm hearing is that you are looking to get towards your PCC. Am I missing anything else? Right? Then of course, then if B says, hey, no, actually I'm talking about when you want to get. Then B will say that. Once she say that, then you can reconfirm that. Say, okay, B, if I heard you right, that today's session you would like to explore when you would like to pursue or when would you like to pursue your PCC, right? And then from there, if B says yes, I said, okay, tell me more about this, right? What do you mean by when? You looking in terms of submission by end of the year, so then letting her explain more. Then from there, you probe in a little bit more, right?
Okay. Okay. Can we pick that up again?
So
B?
you tombalik from the start.
Okay.
So tombalik from the start. Yeah. Then you ask her the same thing again. Then this time you listen. Now you kind of like know that she's gonna talk about when. But then this time you need to kind of like pick up a little bit more. Okay,
Okay. All right. We'll try again.
I restart the timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can start.
Hi, V.
Hi.
Thank you for coming for this session, and thank you so much for agreeing to be recorded for the purpose of ICF credentialing. B, what would you like to focus on today?
Today I'm actually today I want to talk about my PCC pathway.
Okay, tell me more about it. Yeah.
Okay, so just give you a very brief of what has been happening in my life. Okay, so I did my ACC in October, and then after that I also did other trainings lah. I mean I also did other learnings lah. So I made use of my skill future credit. So I went for a few um, work related lah and diplomas. So at the end of it, I got some work from what I learned. So I was quite happy lah because I can pass my time and also apply what I learned. So my PPC pathway, why it happens is that I started to come back to the coaching community or environment roughly in March. So I was telling myself instead of, I mean, I enjoy coaching lah. Okay, so it's just for fun. Then for me as I like to go for results. Okay, I don't. So I ask myself, why do I want to do it for? And then after that, say if I do it for, what is my goal? So I think might as well lah. Okay, since I'm practicing coaching again, go for my PCC credentialing. So that's what I'm thinking now. How should I go about my PCC pathway?
Right. So let me hear you a little bit more in how do you think this pathway, what do you think it would take for you to do this, to go into PCC pathway?
Okay, so probably I can share it in this way. Okay, I see coaching as uh, as 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 like the daily life. In life, we have because coaching is conversation to me. So in life, every coaching is everywhere. Okay, so by learning the skill of coaching, it's just only helping me to be more be a more effective communicator, because in at work, in anything that you always have to start a conversation. So I prefer my conversation to be productive.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I enjoy coaching. And I just want I love fun. Okay, I can do it for fun, but since I also know that other than fun, I can also get myself a qualification. So I asked myself, why not? That's the reason why I decided I think I am going on my PCC accreditation.
What do you think accreditation credentialing would help you further, and especially for PCC?
Mm, for well, I started ACC already, so I like to continue lah. Okay, there's a say. I mean, because I've been to any kind of trainings. Some trainings also have like different parts, like part one, part two, part three.
Mm.
So I remember very well that there was a time that I went for part one and then part two. I went part one just to find out. Then I went part two. Then I realized there's some more work that I need to done. So at the time when my coach asked me, why do you want to come for part three? Then I told him I'm going for a movie. I saw the starting. I saw the story. I need to know the end, the ending. So it's the same thing for me. Actually, it's something like that lah. So I say since I've started ACC, and then now there's a chance, and with this time availability, because now I work from home on a freelance basis because my company has some restructuring, and I have more opportunities to more exposure, no, to be practicing coaching. With different nationality, okay, with the with the what I call it, with the networking with CCL provides. So I asked myself, why not? So that's the reason I go for PCC.
So what I hear you now is that you find that with PCC, it will help you, networking, and with the international audience. Is that right?
For me is for me going for PCC is like because I said coaching makes me a better communicator. So
Okay.
and I love it. So my idea of getting to know people, getting to network with people is also something very fun because I like to watch people lah.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
process will help you to watch people and have fun with people. Is that important for you?
To me it's just a byproduct of what I do, what I choose to do. Is it important? I think fun is important to me lah. I guess so lah. I mean, fun is yeah. I mean, if it's very boring, forget about it. Too routine, I also don't like it. If it's like too restricted, I will not touch it lah. Something like that lah. So I think fun is my prime reason for choosing anything to do.
So if fun is the prime reason for you to do, how do you think you'll be starting to go into the PCC certification?
I'm an action person, so once I have decided that I'm going for it, so now I'm actually in the process. I'm engaging with people. I'm also active in making requests, or I'm open to people who are willing to work with me in practicing. So I'm in the process of back on track lah. Okay, with more practices. Yes.
So where are you right now in this process?
Okay, the question of when where am I now? Okay, so as I progress, I'm in the process. So of course, there are also questions that I ask myself. So when do I want to finish it? Because I cannot cannot do things without a stop. I always feel that if it's every day, 没完没了. You know what's 没完没了 no? Do you understand? Endlessly. I mean, I don't like something to like have no end to it. So, the next question I ask myself is also when do I want to get it done? Then initially I was thinking, I like to do it as soon as possible lah. You know, I'm quite an impatient person. So I was thinking, might as well by end of this year lah. Then I calculated the number of hours I need to do and the amount of time that I have until end of this year. Then I realized, should I do it? It's not going to be fun because I have about 380 hours. I put it as okay. I start afresh 400 hours. 400 hours. I only started to accumulate only recently. So 400 hours for the next let's say next 7 months is a lot. So I don't know. I mean, I I think as I have some hesitation to do it in a short period of time and then put myself like in the pressure cooker, and then I don't think that will create fun for me. Yeah.
What?
Okay, let's pause there first. Okay. So good job, good job. It's quite a power pack session. Let's hear your thoughts first for how you think it went.
I think I need a lot more practice. I firstly, I think I want to say I'm very nervous when there are people watching. So I think that's why I don't go to coaching labs because of that.
Is
I'm
that
seriously nervous with that. Yeah.
yeah?
And I think I missed out her key points yet again. And her question is actually, um, she put it as how should go about, I feel, at the point in time, the PCC process. And then it came back to when she wants to finish because she's an action taker. And then just at the point before we stopped, I think it was coming back to the real question, and that is the hesitation on whether she can really finish it by the end of this year. So it wasn't when, it wasn't really how, but it was a hesitation on the time that is going to be imposed on her. I think that was what she wanted to. This is what I discovered lah.
That's a good thing you picked up, right? That there's something deeper. The problem is not the problem. There's something deeper that perhaps it's not really the when, because since B says she's a go-getter, she's the one that she was someone who wants to know when she wants to finish by. So if she's very clear about that, then why is this December, March, or the period coming about? So then that's when you dive deeper underneath the problem, which problem. In fact, B is a very good client because she expresses a lot.
No.
She's helping a lot, which is a very good client. Yeah. So this kind of very, very good for recording, right? But the downside is that you must be very careful because if the client self-coach himself and then B 自己了解 and she realize, oh, hey, actually 其实我想要的是这个，不是那个then after that you have not facilitated the conversation enough.
Yeah, correct. Because I think she changed from the how, because she's probably thinking I'm going to ask her the importance of PCC, which is not what she wants to know. Then later she just quickly talked about time, and from there before I could go on to time, I think alluded on the hesitations lah. Yeah.
So let's hear Celeste's observation. Then after we ask B. Okay, Celeste, ask what you observe.
What I observed regarding what?
就是当你听到那个讲的所问的问题，你觉得他是否有没有表现出他所要那个顾客所要的 outcome？
I think Sandra managed to go into closer to the CA right at the end of the conversation, but at the start we went around like a bit. Yeah, so like she asked like B, I think she got sucked a bit into the content of what B was talking. Yeah, but after that when B went back into the time, then Sandra, like what she said, she picked up the hesitation and everything. So I felt that if there were a bit more time, she will go into the CA, like maybe get a better focus of the CA. Yeah, but so far I haven't really, my perspective is I haven't really hear like what is the real focus that B wants to talk about.
Okay, so let's hear from B.
Okay. I like to do a self-assessment. Okay, because I sometimes I feel that I hear what I'm saying also. So first of am I muted? Huh?
You're correct. Yeah, but you're okay. But you share from the perspective of an outsider watching the conversation.
Okay. So I can experience Sandra is anxious. Can feel that can feel the 那个 energy 很 tight 啊。so in the way of Sandra, when you are giving questions, you actually putting a lot of pressure on yourself. What should you ask? What is the right questions and how you want to ask? So you're more focused on what you would want to do in the next minute. That's why if with a talker like me, you miss out a lot. You will miss out a lot because the presence was not your presence was not here in the conversation. You're not following my thought process. So you for you to ask questions, to pin down what questions to ask to go to the next step, it will be a little challenging. That's how I observe you, as if you the way you do questioning. And probably because I think I've been through that stage also. Like I was like, struggling sailor. you know, so it's okay. It's more practice. I have been practicing for quite a while already. At least over 18 months. So yeah, just relax. Okay, something like that, lah. So that's how I see. Yes.
I think it's precisely because I'm not relaxed, and I can tell you, Jetta, I really am very frightened to go to coaching labs. I can honestly tell you, especially Indians are such fine fellows, but very deep and that, wow, very, and I just can't, I feel very embarrassed at the same time, but Celeste has improved tremendously. But actually, what happens is that I allow myself to be sucked in the conversation because please correct me if I'm wrong, and I know I'm wrong. I find that is one way to connect with them, you see. But 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 precisely because I'm so sucked in, I need time to get out of it, you see. So therefore in coaching labs and even in a lab like this, I find very pressurizing because in real life, I will probably take 10 minutes to just suck in with them first, and then I slowly move. I think that's my rhythm and my momentum. But with a time limit now, I feel I can't, you see, because until I get sucked in, then I can really understand their mind further. So it's a matter of how I operate and how it should not be this way for the sake of I say for credentialing, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's okay. So the good thing is that's why if you have 30-minute conversation, you plus your 10-minute warm up. Okay, come home. So even if you do 45-minute conversation plus 10-minute warm up, also okay. So if you find that this helps you, then okay, go ahead with the 10-minute kind of warm up, slowly get yourself into the scene. Fine. So you don't have to force yourself to do a 30-minute. Maybe you can do 50 minutes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, right? Then maybe you spend 10 minutes really, just warming up, getting the flow. Sometimes some people need that, which is okay, perfectly fine, right? So you can do that for yourself. Say, hey, maybe rather than 30 minutes, I feel too pressured and feel too tense. Then maybe I do a 50-minute instead, right? Then I give me 10 minutes to kind of like warm up, to build the rapport, feel comfortable, and I feel the flow. Yeah. Then once I get a hang of it and I can do it in 15 minutes, I can do it. If I can do it in 50 to 55 minutes, great. Then I slowly kind of work and see how to be more precise. And from there, start to work backwards like that. Yeah. So I think that's one way you can try, which is you start with the 50 minutes and then you start working backwards. If you like to shorten it. Anyway, there's no rule that you need to do in 30 minutes. The 30 minutes is just my guide for people, 30, 45 minutes.
Coaching labs, 20 minutes.
Doing also is just the first segment. Like, let's say this Sunday, right, we're going to have the mentor coaching, the group mentor coaching. It's also, we only have like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of kind of like power practice. So we're not able to do the whole segment. Just slice into one. Right? So in your practice with your individual peer or individual client outside the conversation, like I think Jamie also wants to practice some, or then you can get, or whoever wants to practice some, or you can get out the conversation. It's okay. I think my conversation, I need about 1 hour. And practice a full 1 hour, maybe 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, kind of get the CA. It's okay, right? So you then you indicate that, okay, I probably need, for the start, I need about 10 minutes to kind of get to the coaching agreement, which is okay, right? Then spend the 10 minutes to kind of refine the craft, get there, and then.
So at that point in time, and all of you, would the hesitation be one of the things that I would need to draw her out from? Draw out the hesitations?
Oh, you mean for B's case?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So it depends on where, how much we unravel in the discussion with her.
Okay. All right.
I show example. See, let's say, B, you okay?
Yes.
Okay, I show an example, right? Very systematic, step by step. Okay, so, B, we're going to replicate the same conversation that you had.
Ah. Okay. Okay, just I
I'm
don't know.
listening. I just need to plug on my computer. I
Oh,
just wire by the side. So I'm listening. The volume is on. Huh? Okay, right. Thanks.
So, B, once again, thank you for allowing us to record the session for the purpose of ICF credential.
yes. Yeah. Thank you for coming to support too.
Okay, so tell us what would you like to discuss today?
Today I would like to focus on my my thought lah about PCC. My thinking about this.
Hmm. Tell me more about what are your thoughts around this?
Okay. So I just okay. I see myself like coaching is an essential skill. Okay, and I also feel that coaching is just my daily life because it happens everywhere and with everywhere and with everyone also. So I love conversation. So there's a reason why I pick up. I mean, I've been doing coaching lah for a long time also at my workplace in my previous work. It's just that I don't go for professional qualification. As I'm a Singaporean coming back to Singapore to work, I think proper qualifications is good lah. I mean, it's not that it's required; it's good, but it's not that I need that to get work. Also, it's just the love of it lah.
Hmm.
So after my ACC, I think now I'm back to coaching again. So might as well I go for the second level, then just go for PCC. Yeah,
Sounds great.
that's my initial thought lah.
Sounds like you have something going on for you, some thoughts in mind. And so, for the purpose of today's conversation, we have about 30 minutes together. What would you like to focus in on?
Actually, I think I am. If I'm in action, that means I think I have decided to go on to move on already with this process. So the question I'm now in is when do I want to complete it? Because I am a person who is afraid of that having one thing with endless in endless time. I need to complete things in a certain time. So now
But if I
I'm
heard,
thinking about timing.
yeah. So if I heard you correctly, is you want to figure out when you want to submit your PCC recordings.
Yes.
Okay, great. So why would this be important for you to figure out when would you want to submit your PCC recording?
Uh, because I like to like for example, if something that I decide to do, I like to see the end result of it. Yes.
Hmm.
So PCC, if I go for PCC, if I apply for PCC and if I get it, that means something is it compensate for what I put in a way or an evidence. Yeah.
Now for you that is preventing you to kind of figuring out when you want to submit.
Well, I also see myself. I'm in a semi-retired stage. So going for the 400 hours that now I started. I mean, it's going to take me a lot of time, energy. So I am questioning it. Should I do it to pressurize myself in a short period of time, or would I want to make it a fun journey and enjoy it and then do it at a slower pace. So this is what I'm considering.
Okay. So let me see if I got you right today. That you want your focus in the area you want to explore. It's whether it's not really when you want to submit, but really figuring out whether should you want to rush it forward to kind of put in more pressure, because now you're retired. Now you're considered kind of retired, semi-retired, or would you want to take own time to enjoy the journey, but which means it will take a longer time. So you're trying to figure out which one
Hmm.
uh you
Yes, right.
Okay, great. Okay, so we pause there. Something like that. Yeah. So we start off exploring the topic, then we kind of like figure out what really the client wants, narrow down a little bit more, and then now we're hearing, oh, okay, actually, when is the when is correct, but when specifically in terms of should I do this when A or when B, right? When A means the more intense, finish this year, and the reason behind all this. When B is that I take my time, enjoy the journey. Then that's when from these two, then we can begin to explore in a 30-minute conversation really what resonates with her the most in this season of her life.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. Much to learn.
So my thought for you is to try this coaching agreement, but with maybe different clients, maybe with your family as well, with whoever. That doesn't have to be a full length coaching conversation. Maybe you want to practice 10-15 minutes with different people, or even let's say coaching lab we go 20 minutes, then maybe 20 minutes just spend 10 minutes coaching agreement and just focus on that first. Because once you kind of like get a hang of it and you kind of know, oh, what to listen out for, how to dive deeper, then later on the later parts become easier.
Okay, yeah. Got it, got it.
Okay, wow, time flies so fast. Okay, so you have a few things that you want to prepare. I've sent you the ACC observation sheet for you to kind of guide you. You have the YouTube videos, the eight competency videos that's on our YouTube channel. Then there's also coaching demo that's also on our YouTube channel. You can check them out if you need some guide. Then also you have the coaching lab. If you just tune in, or maybe if let's say kind of nervous to join in, you can always contact your peer groups. You can post inside our WhatsApp chat group, like who would like to do peer coaching with me, right? Yeah, so then you can let everyone know that, hey, my name is Sandra. I really need more peer coaching sessions.
Gopalan has volunteered. I have not called him. He's like such a giant.
Well, it's all ready for it. So then try to do a few recordings. So before we meet again in June, you want to kind of do a few rounds of the full recording. Then then you also want to prepare your one-page cheat sheet. It helps you, right? To say, okay, to remind yourself, okay, maybe these are the questions that I need as a question prompt, or maybe these are the areas that I tend to forget. So maybe I need some of this prompt in your one page. So as you, let's say you're coaching Gopalan, and you have all those prompts to kind of help you through the process.
Okay, I'll do just that. Just to check, when you say the eight competency videos in YouTube, aren't they in the e-learning portal already?
Those are the ones, yeah.
That's the one. So one by one, right? Okay, because there's a lot to be plowed through. Yeah. So okay.
If you want, I mean, if too many videos, you just watch the eight competencies first.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Then
Is there anything that I can do to get away
the soul.
No. My soul is intact. But my physical demeanor, I'm just absolutely nervous, and I'm not like this. You my professional self is really far from this, but I'm always very nervous when it comes to coaching. And that's why, although I attended your class last year, although that was the start of the record, I was the only person initially, right? Not face to face, and sort of like didn't have a peer group and dropped off, but just let it lie. But I didn't want to waste it. But I'm just wondering, what is it that I'm so frightened about coaching and coming for CCL sessions, when actually in real life I really am talking to a lot of people in different way, maybe mentoring more than and counseling more than. What is it?
I
I
can
can't
tell you
understand why I'm so frightened.
I can surely tell you the answer.
Huh?
Tell you the
Pardon?
answer. You're going to know the answer.
Yeah.
The answer is very simple because you've set a very high standard for yourself as a trainer, as a speaker, as a mentor, and very confident. I mean, on social media platform as well, and because the skill level of those areas are high,
Mhm.
right? Those domain skill level are high, social media skills are high. I mean, if I ask you to train medical today, maybe you need to combine it a bit, right? But the skill sets that you have built over time for those areas are already high. Now, with this new skill set that comes in, then of course there will be a sense of nervousness because there's added pressure on yourself because you expect yourself to perform at that level. Yeah, because that's how everyone sees you as a very good trainer, as a very good mentor because of what you do already, right? And that pressure, to breach that chasm, adds in more because now if you, hey, I cannot look like I do not know how to do this, because this is the level that everybody thinks I'm like that, so I should be able to do that, right? So unconsciously this becomes an add-on pressure to yourself.
Okay.
So what you can try to do is that say, hey, okay, maybe how can I first it's to change that neural association, that okay, coaching is gonna be fun. I it's okay if I make a lot of mistakes, I make a blunder. Never mind. Let's just make a blunder. Uh, let's just make a mess. It doesn't matter, right? And then from there, what you want to do is try to recall the time, your very first time doing training, your very first time doing speaking or very first time doing mentoring, were you very confident straight away, or did it take some time to build in the confidence?
Mm.
Then
Is that a question or just a thought process for me to go through?
a thought process for you to think through, like for your training as well. Did you had that same experience when you first started training?
Uh,
Straight away, you're very confident.
I've been trained as a public speaker almost all the time. So
Before
I'm
the
yeah, even the first time. So even if I do the first time from young from school, I've been I'm also sorry, I just sidetracked. Also a singer, solo singer for classical singing for many years also. So it is an aesthetic, it's an art, it's something I can do, and within my own framework, I just perform. You know what I mean? But coaching is different. It's zero performance. It's dependent on the other person. So I think that's where the nervousness came about.
It's the uncertainty of the control. Like, oh, I cannot control where I want to lead the thing. Training you can because I can lead. Singing I can because I'm the one leading, right? But then coaching, it's a co-creation where a lot, actually 50% depends on the client. If it goes in one direction, like I give you an example, if you coach Kopalan, you struggle a lot because you
Oh man, I struggled. The one time I didn't want to go anymore.
pattern, all got different pattern. But that's a whole dimension of challenge for you, right? And one thing that I commend you is that you never gave up, lah. I mean, like, I mean, last year you could have just okay, lah. Maybe maybe yeah, just do what I like to do. But I think you took on this challenge to kind of see whether you can push yourself forward. So that being comfortable with that uncertainty, to really step in, that is the main one, because it's not really the skill sets. I mean, because you're really a public speaker, you're very comfortable with speaking, very comfortable with engaging people. Now it's really to take that uncertainty part and make that part of your forte as well. So that in future, let's say someone asks you, hey Sandra, can you go and talk about the badge? Why
Okay.
right? Or right then you can straight you can talk about a badge very, very easily.
Show it to me.
That
Okay.
is something like I would say try to get into some put yourself in positions where you do um, things that are not prepared or things that you're not really comfortable with. Like some of the trainings, some of the things that I got some coaches to do, it's I say, hey, okay, for you, why don't you do maybe a random Facebook live, just one take, one shot, post. How ugly, just post. Never mind. Yeah, don't perfect the video, just post. Now that would kind of like train you. So like I give an example when I create all the YouTube video, it's also one take, one shoot, right? I don't like to go and do too many takes. I just take one take and just shoot. Horrible speaking, never mind, just can post only. But it just sets that practice into the unknown. So you find an area that really helps you to stimulate that. So whether is it to have different clients, that's my recommendation. To try different people, try a Johnny, try a Gopalan, try whoever that's there on the coaching lab who don't mind being tried, right? Yeah, and then get a variety of people. With that experience of variety of people, then you gain more confidence. Yeah, so like B also, B now talk to different people. So she has experience with Gopalan, with the Chinese speaking people, with the Cantonese speaking people. So she'll be very, very, very used to. Like this Sunday, I have a lady from China that she's gonna tune into our mentor coaching class. Then if B is there, I will get B to talk to her. So yeah. So so that's one way to kind of push yourself forward, because it's a whole new area. Mm.
Thank you, B. Thank you for your patience. You want to give me some advice, B? B?
Not at all. I mean, you're welcome back. Since I'm here, I like to add value. Okay, so from what you're sharing about yourself and about this unknown area that you call coaching, okay, I think you give yourself a very good opportunity to come to this environment where there are so many coaches who would like to practice coaching. You can actually voice out where you are now, and then through your own issues okay, that you get coaching, then you probably will see how to handle this is what yours is about, very personal. It's just not about what to do. It's not the doing part. It's your state of it, or your conversation with yourself that creates a fear or the kind of uncertainty that you expressed just now. So probably going through the process, you as a coach with all this that you have just said about yourself is a very good practice for you to enter another person's inner world of how they can sort of face up, overcome, and then break through. I think this is a good process, not just getting the coaching hours. I love it because it's this process. Initially, I tell you, I was like, I did struggle a bit because it was very not the same way that I do about coaching also. So I need to break it down. I need to like unlearn myself from what I had before. Okay. And then come into learning something that I tell myself is what I don't know. I love unknown. So that's what the fun about. Okay. 不知道死是怎么样的，我不识死啊，你 you know 不怕死，不知道死是怎么样的，so I just jump into the water, and then after that, I discovered a lot of myself about why am I anxious, why am I part of it because at this age with our own, I would not say that everybody is successful in their own way okay, in your lifetime of work, you see. So we are now, for me, there's a part of it is that my image is at risk. Okay, if I can't coach well, if I cannot ask good question, if I cannot continue a process, so that was a part that, wait, I have never. I told my boss I never got fired before. Okay, so if you think you have something that you need to tell me that I'm not performing well, you let me know. I can tell you I'm going, not you ask me to go. Something like that. Yeah. So it's about something about. I mean, in the deeper level, it's something that I don't want to risk my reputation. I don't want to risk my image, or I don't want to. I like to see people in a good, people that see me in a good light, in a way. So this is how I found out in my learning, in my learning process as a coach. Yeah.
That's something I probably have to go through. So I should be turning up more often, right?
You can try. I remember Jada say very well. CCL has many kinds of people, all sorts of people. So some coaches is that you ask a question, they give you one short answer, then they pause, then you also pause, or you get scared, you keep asking, then you start to ask question. You don't know what question you ask, you just ask. Then you ask already, the person seems to not understand. Then you stack your question. Then you stack until okay, forget about it. I cannot do it. Sorry, but it's a good experience, I would say. Yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
I won't give up, but 真係好驚, don't know why. So
唔緊要，你得閒我哋用廣東話做 coaching 都可以嘅。This is the fun of it. And sometimes I feel language plays a part also, to open up, to express. Yeah, that's I always say. Use a most familiar, most comfortable language to express your inner feeling or your state. Sometimes I feel that in my judgment, English is not too good to express myself. Maybe this is not our mother tongue, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, maybe. Okay.
I always say that try and mix it up. Maybe in your professional line, you're very, very precise in your language, very, very accurate in your grammatical syntax and synthesis. But in coaching, let's just let them have. So you notice in my coaching sessions, I put in a lot of la, le, lo. I put in a little bit more Hokkien, Spanish, simi to chame, right? Whatever can sound by cham, everything is like for a few reasons. Because coaching fundamentally is not me performing. It's really me trying to create a connection with the person. If I'm too, Shakespearean, then the person 執住為條我講 CCV. Right? So so this
yeah, initially when I started CCL's questioning, Jada's questions are quite short okay. So how do you want to measure success of this session? I was like, I don't hear this in my daily life.
Yeah.
We don't talk that way, right, to people in our life, right? So I was writing what success is trying to talk about. So I this is how, because yeah, in environment like this, they have some contextual terminology. So probably you, as you work along here, you will find out what this terminology means, and then probably when you want to do it, create your own style or get yourself understood, then probably you can explore and develop and expand it lah. So now I expand it. Now I don't I when I, as much as I've been through that, when I was asked what success, how do we measure success of a session, I was like, as a coachee, when I first started, I was like, what are you asking? then I realized, okay, as I practice, I realized there is a more human way, in a way, like more daily life way. I prefer daily life conversation. So
Right.
it's a preference lah.
So
Anyway, thank you very much.
so maybe B, I will, if you're all right, I like to practice on B, and conversely also for your PCC. If you want to, you can practice on me and take out the inner things in me or whatever and so on.
Yeah, of course, of course. I think we are here to support each other. Okay, so you can I'm not quite sure I can find you in a group or not. Otherwise, you can add me on WhatsApp.
Can.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. Since I'm now I have more time. The thing is,
Well,
I
I
have
would
time now.
question. I'll get B to come and join in also. So then we see how much Sandra.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can keep me. You can use me as your milestone of progress. I'm
Okay.
open to that. Yeah.
Okay. I like to make some progress. I think now I'm more comfortable to just fail. You know what I mean? Just feel safe to fail, as long as there's a constructive value added to my improvement lah. Yeah. So that should be the way lah. I think, yeah. And relax lah.
Recording, and then so just take it as if, like, let's say, I mean, if June we find that you still need more time, then never mind, right? Then you still have, after June, you still have time to prepare for your one recording, because you can still come from the group mentor coaching as well. So use those opportunities to kind of prepare. So up to our next session together, try to refine your coaching recording to one that you feel very, very comfortable with. Then when we meet on the 22nd of June, then we'll dive in more.
Yeah, I think 22nd is tough for me now on hindsight, because 3 weeks prior to that I got stacked work. But I'll talk to you offline. When's another date in July? That also gives me some time to really reassess my skills and
Yeah, I
and
said June, then you will be very, very kanko. Yeah, we can
yeah.
push that by, something.
So thanks so much,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
This is what we do, the mentor coaching, individual mentor. Sometimes I put people in to kind of get, when I look at your transcript, I put people in to kind of help you to
Okay, we'll do. Okay, we'll be in touch, B. I think I
Okay.
see you are in the CCL chat group. I can find you quite easily.
you see.
Okay. Okay.
One.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Thank you, Jedi. It's good to see Celeste here again. Celeste, when is our next session? Are you still afraid of doing coaching with me?
Let's do the BCC. So, Sandra, you must practice as well. So your variety lah.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I need to go. Bye bye. Take care.
Yes.